You're not imagining it. You run your fingers through your hair and there's more coming out than staying in. Your ponytail is half the size it used to be. Your part looks wider every month, and everyone around you keeps saying the same thing. Oh, it's just aging. It happens to all of us. But here's what I need you to hear right now, before we go any further, that is not the whole truth. Thinning hair after 60 is not simply an unavoidable consequence of getting older. For millions of women, it is a signal, and that signal is coming from somewhere most doctors never think to look: your gut. I know that sounds surprising. You came here thinking about your hair, and I'm about to talk to you about your digestive system. But by the time this video is over, I promise you it will all make complete sense, and more importantly, you will know exactly what to do about it. Hi, I'm Dr. Allah. I've spent years working with women over 60 who come to me frustrated, embarrassed, and honestly a little heartbroken about their hair. They've tried the shampoos, they've bought the supplements with the beautiful packaging and the big promises. Some of them have even gone to dermatologists who handed them a prescription and sent them home without ever asking one critical question. How is your digestion? How is your gut health? Are you absorbing the nutrients you're actually eating? Because here is the truth that changes everything: your hair follicles are among the most nutrient-hungry structures in your entire body. They need protein, they need iron, they need zinc, biotin, silica, vitamin D, and a handful of other key nutrients delivered consistently and in adequate amounts, and the only way those nutrients get from your plate to your hair follicle is through your gut. If your gut is not absorbing properly, and after 60, for most women, it isn't, then it doesn't matter how well you eat. Your follicles are starving, and starving follicles produce thin, fragile, falling hair. Now here is where the $2 drink comes in, and before you assume I'm about to sell you something, I'm not. What I'm going to share with you today is something you can find at any grocery store, something that has real science behind it, and something that costs almost nothing. What it does is restore the gut environment your hair follicles have been desperately waiting for. Some of my patients noticed a difference in as little as 3 to 4 weeks, not magic biology. And once you understand the biology, you'll understand exactly why it works. So stay with me. We are going to go through this together, step by step, the way I would explain it to you if you were sitting in my office right now. Let's start at the beginning, because I want you to truly understand what's happening inside your body, not just follow instructions blindly, but actually get it. Because when you understand why something works, you stick with it, and sticking with it is exactly what gets results. Your gut is not just a tube that food passes through. It is an extraordinarily complex, living ecosystem. Inside your digestive tract right now, there are trillions of microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, and other microbes collectively called your gut microbiome. Some of these microbes are beneficial. They help you break down food, produce certain vitamins, regulate inflammation, support your immune system, and yes, they directly influence the health of your hair. Others are less helpful, and the balance between the two determines, more than almost anything else, how well your body functions at a cellular level. When you're in your 30s, most women have a reasonably healthy gut balance, not perfect but functional. Then life happens: antibiotics, stress, processed food, years of irregular eating, medications, hormonal shifts, and then menopause. All of these things chip away at the good bacteria in your gut. By the time a woman reaches her 60s, that microbiome is often significantly depleted. The diversity is lower, the beneficial bacteria are outnumbered, and the gut lining itself, the actual physical wall of your intestine, begins to weaken. This is where something called intestinal permeability comes in. You may have heard the term leaky gut. I know it sounds informal, almost too casual for something so serious, but the science behind it is very real. When the gut lining becomes compromised, tiny gaps form between the cells that are supposed to form a tight, protective barrier. Through those gaps, partially digested food particles, toxins, and inflammatory compounds can slip into the bloodstream. Your immune system sees them, panics, and launches an inflammatory response, and chronic, low-grade inflammation, the kind you can't feel directly but that is happening quietly inside your body every single day, is one of the most destructive forces your hair follicles will ever face. Inflammation tells your body to redirect resources. It shifts energy and nutrients away from what your body considers non-essential, and hair, biologically speaking, is non-essential. You will not die without hair. So when your body is in a constant state of internal stress, the first thing it pulls resources from is your hair follicles. They shrink, the growth cycle shortens. Hair that used to grow for 6 years now grows for 2. And what grows in is thinner, weaker, and more prone to falling out. This is why women over 60 can eat a genuinely healthy diet: salads, lean proteins, good fats, and still lose hair. The food is going in, but without a healthy gut lining and a balanced microbiome, absorption is broken. The nutrients pass through largely unused, and your follicles, sitting there waiting to be fed, keep getting nothing. Now you can see why treating the hair without treating the gut is like watering a plant through a broken pipe. Most of the water never reaches the roots. So now the real question is, what exactly broke your gut and can it actually be fixed? The answer to the second part is yes. Absolutely yes. I've seen it happen in my patients more times than I can count. But to fix something, you need to understand what damaged it in the first place. And for most women over 60, it wasn't one single thing. It was a slow accumulation of factors that quietly, steadily shifted the gut environment in the wrong direction. The first major factor is stomach acid decline. This is something most people have never been told, and it genuinely surprises them when I bring it up. As we age, the stomach naturally produces less hydrochloric acid. This is called hypochlorhydria, and it is extremely common in women over 60, far more common than most doctors acknowledge. Here's why it matters for your hair. Stomach acid is not just there to make you feel uncomfortable when you have reflux. It is your body's first major digestive tool. It breaks down protein into amino acids. It sterilizes the food coming in. It activates enzymes that your small intestine needs to absorb minerals like iron and zinc. Without adequate stomach acid, protein digestion is incomplete, mineral absorption drops dramatically, and the door is open to bacterial overgrowth in the small intestine, a condition called SIBO, which further disrupts nutrient absorption and damages the gut lining. Hair is made almost entirely of a protein called keratin. If your stomach cannot properly break down the protein you eat, your hair follicles never receive the amino acid building blocks they need to produce strong, thick keratin strands. The result is exactly what you're seeing: fine, fragile hair that breaks easily and falls out more than it grows. The second major factor is the long-term impact of medications. I say this with great care because I am not telling anyone to stop their medications, please hear that clearly. But as a doctor, I have a responsibility to be honest with you. Many medications that are extremely common in women over 60 have gut health as a known, documented side effect. Proton pump inhibitors, the heartburn and acid reflux medications that millions of women take daily, directly reduce stomach acid, which compounds everything I just described. Long-term use of antibiotics, even antibiotics taken years ago, can permanently alter the gut microbiome if it was never actively restored. Afterward, certain blood pressure medications, anti-inflammatory drugs, and even some common over-the-counter pain relievers can damage the gut lining with prolonged use. Again, I am not telling you to stop anything without speaking to your own doctor. What I am telling you is that if you have been on any of these medications long-term and you are experiencing hair thinning, the connection is real, it is documented, and it deserves a conversation with your physician. The third factor is something I see across the board in my older female patients: chronic low protein intake. Many women over 60 unconsciously reduce their protein consumption. Sometimes it's because appetite decreases with age. Sometimes it's because they've spent decades following low-fat or low-calorie dietary advice that unintentionally lowered their protein intake. Sometimes it's simply that digestion has become less comfortable, so they gravitate towards softer, easier foods that tend to be lower in protein. Whatever the reason, the result is the same: not enough raw material for your body to build and maintain hair. Now I want to talk about the drink, because I know you've been patient and you came here for a real answer, not just a biology lecture. So let's get into it. The drink I'm referring to is kefir, Kefir. If you've never heard of it, or you've seen it in the grocery store and walked past it without knowing what it was, let me introduce you properly, because this humble, inexpensive fermented drink may be one of the most powerful gut healing tools available to women over 60, and it costs almost nothing. Kefir is a fermented milk drink, though there are water-based and coconut-based versions for those who don't do well with dairy. It's made by adding kefir grains, which are not actual grains, but rather a culture of beneficial bacteria and yeast, to milk and allowing it to ferment for about 24 hours. What you end up with is a slightly tangy, drinkable yogurt-like beverage that is absolutely packed with live probiotic cultures. And when I say packed, I mean it. A single cup of kefir contains anywhere from 12 to 61 distinct strains of beneficial bacteria and yeast. For comparison, your average probiotic supplement, the kind sold in a bottle for $30 or $40, typically contains 3 to 10 strains. Kefir delivers more microbial diversity in one glass than most supplements deliver in a week. But here's what makes kefir truly special for women over 60, and specifically for hair health. It doesn't just deliver probiotics. It also contains something called kefirin, a unique polysaccharide produced during fermentation that has been shown in research to actively strengthen the gut lining. Remember those gaps I told you about, the ones that allow inflammation-triggering particles to leak into your bloodstream? Kefirin helps close them. It supports the tight junctions between gut lining cells and reduces intestinal permeability. Less leaky gut means less systemic inflammation. Less inflammation means your hair follicles stop being starved of resources. On top of that, kefir is rich in easily absorbed protein, calcium, phosphorus, B vitamins including B12 and folate, vitamin K2, and magnesium. These are not incidental nutrients, these are nutrients that are directly involved in the hair growth cycle. B12 deficiency alone is one of the leading but most commonly missed causes of hair thinning in older women, and kefir is one of the most bioavailable natural sources of B12 you can consume. Bioavailable means your body can actually use it, which, as we've discussed, is not always the case with food or supplements when your gut is compromised. Kefir also contains a meaningful amount of tryptophan, an amino acid that supports serotonin production and sleep quality. And sleep, as unglamorous as it sounds, is when your body does the majority of its cellular repair, including hair follicle regeneration. Women who sleep poorly have measurably worse hair growth outcomes, so kefirs. Gentle support of sleep quality is another indirect but real benefit for your hair. If this is helping you, do me a favor, save this video so you can come back to it. Share it with a friend who's been struggling with the same thing, because what we're covering today is information that genuinely changes outcomes, and more women need to hear it. Let me tell you exactly how to use kefir, because how you take it matters just as much as whether you take it. I've had patients who tried kefir, didn't see results, and gave up, and when I asked them how they were using it, I immediately understood why it wasn't working for them. So let's do this right. First, the amount. For general gut maintenance, 1 cup of kefir per day is sufficient. But for women who are dealing with significant hair thinning and suspect their gut health has been compromised for some time, I recommend starting with half a cup per day for the first week, then moving up to 1 full cup by week 2. Why start slow? Because kefir is powerful. When you introduce billions of beneficial bacteria into a gut that has been imbalanced for years, there can be a transition period, some mild bloating, slight changes in digestion, maybe a little more gas than usual. This is normal. It is not a sign that kefir is wrong for you. It is a sign that something is shifting. Most women move through this adjustment phase within 5 to 7 days, and after that, the digestive comfort they experience is noticeably better than before they started. Second, the timing. Drink your kefir in the morning, ideally on an empty stomach or with a light breakfast. The reasoning is simple. When your stomach is empty, the kefir moves through more quickly, and the probiotic cultures have a better chance of surviving the stomach environment and reaching the small intestine and colon, where they do their most important work. If you take it with a heavy meal, digestion slows, stomach acid production rises significantly, and more of those beneficial bacteria are destroyed before they reach their destination. Morning, light meal, or empty stomach, that is your window. Third, the type of kefir you choose matters enormously. Not all kefir on the grocery store shelf is created equal. Many commercial kefir products have been pasteurized after fermentation, which kills the live cultures that make kefir valuable in the first place. Read the label. You want a kefir that specifically states it contains live and active cultures, and ideally one that lists the specific bacterial strains included. Plain, unsweetened kefir is always preferable to flavored varieties, which can contain significant amounts of added sugar. And here is something important that most people don't know: sugar feeds the harmful bacteria in your gut, so a kefir drink loaded with added fruit syrup and sweeteners is, in a very real way, partially counteracting the benefit of the probiotics it contains. Plain kefir, perhaps with a small amount of raw honey or fresh berries if you need it sweeter, is the right choice every time. If you are lactose intolerant, do not supposed to do at the gut level. Protein to grow. And after 60, not only do most women eat less protein than they need, but their bodies also become less efficient at using the protein they do eat, a phenomenon called anabolic resistance. To counteract this, women over 60 need more protein than younger women, not less. I recommend a minimum of 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. For a woman who weighs 140 pounds, about 63 kilograms, that is approximately 75 to 80 grams of protein daily. The best sources are eggs, fatty fish like salmon and sardines, chicken, Greek yogurt, legumes, and cottage cheese. These are not just protein sources, many of them also contain zinc, iron, biotin, and omega-3 fatty acids, all of which are directly involved in the hair growth cycle. The second dietary factor is what you need to reduce, and I'll say it plainly: ultra-processed food. I'm not talking about occasional treats. I'm talking about the daily habit that many women don't even recognize as a habit: the packaged crackers, the flavored yogurts, the low-fat processed snacks, the breakfast cereals with long ingredient lists. These foods contain emulsifiers, preservatives, and refined sugars that have been shown in multiple studies to directly disrupt the gut microbiome. They reduce microbial diversity, they feed harmful bacteria, and they promote intestinal inflammation. If you are drinking caffeine, of them had ever had their gut health, their ferritin, or their stomach acid function evaluated. If you have been treating the symptom, the hair, without ever addressing the root cause, the results will always be temporary at best. The approach I've shared with you today is different because it goes to the origin of the problem: fix the gut. Restore absorption, reduce inflammation, supply the raw materials, and the hair responds, not because it's magic, because it's how the body actually works. I also want you to know that this is not an all or nothing situation. Every positive change you make builds on the last. Starting with kefir alone is already a meaningful step. Adding prebiotic foods the following week is another step. Getting your ferritin tested, adjusting your protein intake, reducing processed food, each of these is a step in the right direction. You don't have to do everything perfectly from day one. You just have to start and keep going. One more thing: stress. I know I haven't spoken about it in depth today, but I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't mention it. Chronic psychological stress is one of the most powerful disruptors of the gut microbiome known to science. The gut and the brain are in constant, bidirectional communication through what is called the gut-brain axis. When you are chronically stressed, your gut bacteria composition changes within days, inflammation increases, gut permeability worsens, and yes, hair follicles suffer. Foods as much as you genuinely can. Manage your stress not perfectly, but intentionally. And ask your doctor to check your ferritin levels specifically, not just your standard blood count. Give this protocol a genuine, committed 3 months. Take a photo of your hairline and part today so you have a baseline. Check again at 6 weeks and at 3 months. The changes will be real, they will be measurable, and they will be earned by you through consistency. I want to close by saying something that I mean genuinely, not as a scripted line. Your hair matters to you, and that is completely valid. Hair is tied to identity, to confidence, to how you feel when you look in the mirror. Wanting it back is not vanity, it is self-care, and you deserve real answers and a real path forward, not dismissal, not false hope, but honest medicine. That is what I always aim to give you. I'm Dr. Allah. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.